I've been thinking about how people communicate through social media and how unnatural it is for this means of communication, this right here even. But what made me think of this is an interaction that I had the other day on Facebook, and I'll get to that. But I want to explain what I mean by unnatural and some of the traps and pitfalls that come along with social media. I'm friends on Facebook with people that I went to school with, and I'm from a very small town. The town where I went to school, kindergarten through 12th grade, is all like the same campus. So I didn't go to kindergarten there, but I moved to that town in first grade and then graduated with some of the same people that were in my first grade class. Quite a few, in fact. I would say probably more than half of the people. So I'm friends with some of those people that moved away before we graduated. And I'm, friends with people that I graduated with, and I've seen maybe, here and there over the years. But there are people that I've known 40 plus years ago that I'm friends on Facebook with. Then here's another thing. Since it's such a small school, there's people a couple years younger than me, a couple years older than me. I'm friends on Facebook with them, but we never hung out or were friends in school. It's just we became friends through other common friends, and so anyway. So I would not be able to predict the reaction that they would have to some, questions or events, or I don't know their politics. I don't know how many children they have. There's a lot of things I don't know about these people, right? The people that I deal with on a day-to-day basis here in my hometown, or the town that I live now, rather, I go to dinner on Wednesdays with a group of folks. I work with some people. Those people I know way better than some of the people that I knew from years ago. So knowing it's so hard to tell sometimes from just reading something that somebody writes, and especially if they're not good at writing. And I think I'm better than average at writing, but one thing I do is I try to write my sentence, read it, and post it. I'll make an error here and there, but like I said, this is all table setting, right? So fast forward to a couple days ago. I guess that's technically, we're going to rewind to a couple days ago. But I came across a post this guy made, and I don't want to get it wrong, so I have it on my phone sitting next to me here. And this is one of these posts where you've seen them. I'm just going to show it to you. It's a red. Make sure I didn't put that guy's name on here. No, it's not on there. Homeowners, I guess I could show it to you now. Do you realize, it's going to be backwards, isn't it? Do you realize that Harris's plan to tax unrecognized capital gains? And of course it's supposed to be unrealized, which is kind of funny because couple words before that it said, do you realize? So anyway, when I first saw that, I'm like, I know that the Harris supporters, what they would say right away is, that's only on $100 million and above and all that. And it's true, that's what I've read anyway. I don't think there's an actual plan. Now, Biden had this unrealized capital gains and a plan of his, and it never really got footing. It's not in our tax code right now. So my belief, at least, is forget about the $100 million thing, or that it's not going to affect me or people that don't make over $100 million. Even the people that do make $100 million plus, I don't believe that they necessarily, and when I say they, Harris, or the campaign, I don't believe they seriously think or believe that this is going to get passed. This is just one of these campaign issues that, if you think about how things go down in and I'm saying realistically, not the kind of demonization that goes on from people. Well, they just want to destroy this country. Oh, they're just evil, or all these other things that people do to make themselves feel better about themselves, or whatever it is that they're doing with that. I try to think, okay, imagine I'm working with one of these politicians. What am I going to do? We're going to sit together and say, hey, how do we get this group of people to vote for us? And one of the ways you do that is by throwing some of these out there of, we're going to get money for all of our all of our proposals through just the rich people and blah, blah. So that is what that is designed for, to me. That's just my opinion. So I'm going to make a comment on this post, right? But there's a big, there's a glass of wine and there's a fly in there, and I got to get that fly out first. Let me get a drink. This is going to go well with the later point too, by the way. So I can't just leave that alone. That unrecognized capital gains. Now, I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I don't claim to be an expert on economics, but I read economics books, articles. I follow people on social media that are economists. Listen to podcasts of people that talk about economic issues. And it's not like Kamala Harris setting out this plan gave me a new term of unrecognized capital gains. I've known about unrealized, I've heard this debated for years and years, right? So if I'm gonna make a comment on a guy's post and it's got an error that, and again, this is not my friend's error, this is just something that he shared. It says unrecognized capital gains. I gotta at least address that if I'm gonna make a serious point. Or people that are reading my comment are going to look at that and go, man, you didn't even realize that the original post had this glaring error in terminology. How could this possibly be a serious person? That first original person that made that doesn't really probably know what they're talking about. They're just squawk, parroting what someone else says. So I have to table set my comment with, okay, and I put it in quotes, it's unrealized, not unrecognized. I didn't say I just said it's unrealized capital gains, and then I said the libs will point out that it's $100 million, but that's not even my main focus. My point was people should relax, because that's probably not the best way to say it, but I believe in my heart that this is a calculated effort on their campaign to get a lot of these, I'm not going to say young, a lot of these people that think that the problem with, the fiscal problems could all be solved by just taxing billionaires to death, or at least their fair share, which is the dumbest term to me. Ask somebody to define what fair share means, and you'll get a lot of different answers, but a lot of people will just dodge it. Anyway, don't want to go too far off track. So the guy, my friend that read my post, or my comment to his post, called me, he said that I was correcting a spelling error and that it wasn't even his spelling error. You could not have missed the point of me pointing out the difference between unrecognized and unrealized. It's not a spelling error. That is not a spelling error. It is a misuse of a term that if you're going to talk seriously about this, you've got to at least acknowledge that, okay, first of all, let's say I know that that's wrong. So that was the point of me making that. But he goes on to say, he lists a bunch of other things that, one of them was that, cut off domestic supply of energy or something along those lines, which could not be further from the truth. We're producing more oil now than we have ever in the country's history. I don't want to get involved in that, but he's just got a couple things that I would not have argued that, oh, this will never be attempted. But some of the things he just got wrong, like the energy thing. But here's the thing. He said I could use some more pompous big words or something like that, basically calling me pompous, and that I try to use big words to try to make myself look smart. That's what he said. I actually have a screenshot here, so I can read exactly what he said. Should I keep going or add some big pompous words in order to look intelligent? See you at the next Mensa convention. Oh, wait. So I've been called pompous before, and it's because the person is misreading my point or whatever. I definitely, okay, first of all, I'm a high school graduate. I was an enlisted guy in the Army. I live in Southeast Alabama, but I do drink some Cabernet Sauvignon, so maybe I am a little bit of pompous. You know, it's just like, to call me pompous, and he technically didn't. He said big pompous words. But this goes back to the table setting that I did earlier, right? In that he has an impression of me that's just false. He might think. I know another time where I tried to get some engagement on Facebook because it was right after the Trump convictions and all of the media online. I just kind of saw Trump had, guilty, however many times, 39 counts, which it should have been one, if anything. I'm all with people on that. It's ridiculous that they were all, or it should have not been brought or whatever. I'm not going to get into that either. But I asked a serious question. What I did was I took a screenshot of all the headlines and just put them up, and it didn't quite have the effect that I thought it would because it's hard to tell the size of the font that was used on some of these. But some of the places that I expected to be a little more biased just kind of came across, and I'd have to go back and look at the image. But to me, the guilty was the one that was the most egregiously taken aside on it, the Drudge Report. And if you looked at the Fox News one and the CNN, some of those, it wasn't even, I think it was Newsmax or one of those, the right-wing cheerleading organizations. They had a relatively, just fact-based headline. And so I just put them up there and I asked, see if you can guess which one was which. And my post hurt his feelings about that because I think he's a big MAGA supporter, and he thought that I was trying to, drag Trump through the freaking mud, which I'm not one of these guys that is deranged about Trump. I don't like the guy. I won't vote for the guy. I'm not voting for Harris either. That's a whole different topic. But I live in Alabama. It's already known who's going to get the votes for Alabama. So my vote isn't going to matter either way. But people will still get mad at you if you're not going to support the same guy they do. Anyway, so this guy, he has an impression of me from 1988. That's the last time I went up and saw him one time about 10, 15 years ago or whatever. But we don't know each other very well. And he makes assumptions about me because you know why? He doesn't have conversations with me, having a beer or shooting the shit or whatever. He doesn't have, the only thing he sees is social media, and he interprets them in a certain way. And if he thinks that I'm using big words, first of all, I went back to, I scrolled seriously the last 20, 25 posts of mine on Facebook looking for big words. I don't know what he considers to be big words, but it's not exactly like you're going to need a thesaurus if you're sifting through my posts. So I think what it really is I construct sentences and make them clear, but I don't pepper them with big words that I have to look up to use or anything like that. The other part of it is he's politically like biased and he thinks I'm on the other side. And so he's going to try to find ways to disagree with me. But anyway, that's my observation. And I'm not going to, you know, the person that I'm talking about, this friend of mine, I don't think there might be one guy that we have in common, completely different worlds, just out of coincidence that we know each other. But that person isn't going to watch this video. I can almost guarantee you, not to the end anyway. So I'm not giving this guy's name up or anything. I might point him to it just to kind of show, and I'm not trying to dog you, dude. I really am not. I just don't cheerlead for politicians. Trump's not a politician. Yes, he is. He's one of the best I've ever seen. He's a funny guy, this and that, but he's also a clown and, you know, whatever. So that's the end of this video.